the UFC train doesn't stop. There's a fight night. I think it's number 244 on Saturday, but it's a good main event. Brandon Royval versus Tatsuro Taira, respectively, the number 3 and number 6 USA Today MMA Junkie flyweights in the world. Is this a title eliminator, Mike Bond?
Are those their MMA Junkie AI rankings or the actual rankings? Sure. No, I think it's probably a title eliminator, right? It's got that written all over it. I know Brandon Royval felt he deserved a title shot already after the last fight, and he didn't get it because it was a quick turnaround, and we've already seen that fight against Pantoja multiple times. But yeah, I think now this one would put it over the edge for him. And Taira, God, does the division ever need someone like him, right? An undefeated, fresh face, guy who is exciting in there, has amazing grappling, developing striking a lot. He's, I think, probably Japan's biggest hope for a UFC title, right? And how big would that be if that actually happened after all these years? So, yeah, this is a great fight, a great matchup. Curious to see how Taira looks in a 5-round fight. And yeah, I absolutely expect the winner of this to be fighting for a belt, sans like injury or something that would derail the timing of that. But yeah, I don't know where Pantoja's at. I know there was some rumors about him maybe fighting Kai Asakura. I don't know what the status of that is, but I think, yeah, he's very much up there, and the winner of this fight is deserving. And I think I'd love to see either of them fight Pantoja right now, coming off a win here.
I know they signed Kai Sakara. He hasn't had a fight yet in the UFC. So you're saying straight like Gil Melendez against Benson Henderson, straight into it?
I know it's been rumored. Nolan could probably chime in on this as well, but yeah, I mean, I think it's just at the point you look at the division right now and what Pantoja has done, and it's like if you were going to go that route and give someone an auto title shot, I think circumstantially this one would probably make sense. But maybe the winner of this changes that. I don't know what the status of things are right now.
Nolan, what say you? And by the way, the odds going into this fight has Taira favored around the minus 225 range, with Brandon Royval coming back at plus 180. So your thoughts on, why this shaped out the way it did? Taira looked to me like would have been a good challenger for Pantoja.
Yeah, it's a little weird right now. I think we're kind of we got to see what's going on with Pantoja. Like Mike said, it kind of sounded like him and Asakura might be a thing. I think there was some rumors, some stuff we were hearing behind the scenes with that. And then also Pantoja, when I think Mike or somebody spoke to him on the red carpet over the summer, he was hyping up like that he already knew who his next opponent was going to be, and it would surprise a lot of people, and it was something exciting and different. So, I mean, all those stars seem to be aligning now. Granted, that was 3 months ago, so I don't know what's happened in the meantime, where he is, what the UFC's plans are. You got to think he's going to, unless he has some sort of injury or something that we don't know about, you got to think they're looking at December, January, that's going to be one of the next title fights that comes back up in the rotation. But regardless, I think this fight has a lot of implications in the division, like Mike said. I wouldn't say like definitively, like, yes, 100% this is a title eliminator. I think it's kind of the front runner, but I do think Amir Albazi has a good case too. He's got a big fight against Brandon Moreno coming up November 2nd. So I guess the winner of this or Albazi, depending on who looks more exciting and who looks better, that would be kind of my gauge on what this means for the division.
Goes, in your opinion, what's the state of the flyweight division right now? If you had to give it a letter grade or just pass, not pass, we've had a lot of big names move on. I felt like I really wanted to see, speaking of, Asian fighters coming back, there's a Japanese fighter, Kyoji Horiguchi, who a lot of new fans might not remember. He did well in the UFC. He was 7-1, and then he left and captured titles elsewhere. But I'd love to see him back. You bring back Cejudo, and now with Moreno's return, maybe there's an infusion here.
Yeah, I don't think it's as bad as some people make it out. It's slowed down a little bit for me, and this is probably a little strange to say, but honestly, I get more kick out of these types of matchups than I actually do the title matchups, right? I think the guys underneath Pantoja that are picking each other off, I think those are very competitive fights. I look forward to those more than I actually do the title shots. But I will tell you this, there is a new crop of fighters that are training at these lighter weight classes. I think this is going to be a very good division in maybe 2 years at the influx of talent. It hurts getting rid of Mokaev. Say what you will about the way he fights. I thought he's a name that deserves to be talked at the top. You always want to have the best fighters in the world. But yeah, as my colleague stated, man, like there are just so many fighters here that are one shot away. You can move them around. I think the division is interesting. I wouldn't say it's great, but it's keeping my attention right now.
All right, and guys, obviously this card is top heavy, but there's some talent sprinkled in. So shed a spotlight on a fight that you're excited about that's maybe not going to get that type of love, because it is a fight week. A fight night card at the Apex, coming off a pay-per-view. A lot of us are just exhaling right now. We'll start off with Mike Bond. Is there a fight there that tickles your fancy?
I'll just give a shout out to Chris Barnett, the return, right? He's obviously one of the more unique heavyweights, brings his whole different personality to the cage, and he's been out for, I think, a couple of years now. So him and Junior Tafa should be a banger. That's early on the prelims there. I think that'll be where the card really begins. But there is some solid fights on this lineup, I think, kind of top to bottom, maybe not the biggest star name, but some recognizable fighters at minimum.
How about you, Nolan King?
Yeah, I agree with Mike. I think I actually really like this card in terms of entertainment value. I think there's almost like, if you look at it up and down, there's not a lot of, not much at stake outside of the main event. Like, I don't think there's anything that really has much implications, but I really like the Jonathan Pierce, Pat Sabatini fight. I think both those guys are pretty good. They've had their losses. We've seen them kind of try to develop. So I think that's a really strong, like, middle of the middle upper tier of the featherweight division.
How about you guys?
Grant Dawson and Rafa Garcia. We had Grant Dawson on the show, and he's got a little bit of a chip on his shoulder. I think he's out to prove a couple naysayers wrong, and the guy can be dominant at times. Say what you will about the way he fights, but he gets the job done. If you look at his overall record, it's very, very impressive. He's a name that we could be talking about soon, and I think the matchup with Rafa Garcia, I think Rafa Garcia deserves more credit. I think this will be actually a really good fight.
And then shout out to Brad Tavares. The fight actually happens this time, he will be the first middleweight to fight 25 times in the UFC. He's currently tied with Michael Bisping for the record at 24. So fingers crossed it happens this time, because it fell out, I think, on fight day or weigh-in day last time around.
Yeah, he got left at the altar the last time around. That was unfortunate, but yeah, he's the Extreme Couture captain right now. Lot of longevity in the sport. Didn't he come through Tough 7, I believe? That probably puts him around the 2009 mark. So he's definitely been around. Tough 11, okay. So, yeah. He's been around for a long time. So I'm glad you gave him a shout out. And look, if you're just looking for a scrap, you pop open a beer in the afternoon and you want to be entertained, then I just think Themba Garimbo and Nico Price will probably sock each other up pretty good. So keep an eye on that one. But yeah, it's the flyweight division that's going to definitely get the most of us excited. You're going to say something, Mike?
No, I was just going to say Abdul Razak Al Hassan fighting against Josh Fremd on this card too. And we saw how angry that man was after that no contest with Cody Brundage a couple of months ago. So I think he has a lot of fire to unleash in the cage on Saturday.
He was angry at the pre-fight press conference as well. That was a pretty
he's always angry, and I don't blame him.